Ready to begin, are we? That's the spirit. So then, your mission is to investigate a crystal robbery and a spate of abductions. Crimes which we believe to be connected. Assuming we are correct, it is like that any discoveries we make in relation to one will further our understanding of the other. Now, since the attack on their caravan, our friends at Imagina and Sons Mineral Concern have doubled security over all their shipments. In light of this, it is my judgment that the abduction should be our priority. According to our preliminary findings, the majority of the missing were last seen in the vicinity of Camp Drybone, so that would seem a fine place to begin. A fellow by the name of E. Sambert serves as the camp's de facto leader. Pay him a visit and see that he gives us his full cooperation. Hi, I'm E. Sambert, here to search for the missing folk, I take it? Minfilia sent word that an adventurer fitting your description will be along. She also warned us to be wary of the Amaliaa. It seems we know who the culprits are, at the very least. Now, I bear no official title at this camp, but the people here have come to look to me for leadership. You have my word that I'll do all I can to help see the victims safely return. Let us get right to it, then. Minfilia names the Amaliaa culprits in all this. You would do well to investigate them first. Much harm has been levied on these lands by Amaliaa hands. The flames burn where they might, but their light cannot stay the darkness in all places at all times. There had been brutal murders of callers at the Church of Saint Adama Landon, innocents wishing no more than to pay their respects to the dead. The poor souls deserve a proper burial. I would see to the deed before mongrels catch their scent, but I know not if the Amaliaa still linger. Would you secure their remains for me, friend? You will find them on the eastern road. 12 willing, you may even come to learn something of what the Amaliaa seek in this area. It is good to see you return. Were you able to secure the remains of our fallen? With the bodies given back proper to the earth, the souls will find their way across to the other side. You have done a noble deed this day. I thank you. Now, then, what of the Amaliaa? Did you see any? Surely such massive monstrosities as they cannot conceal their presence, much less take their quarry unawares. Ah, so there were Amaliaa remaining, after all. I feared as much. Their part in the lowborn disappearing is all but confirmed. But I sense there is more to this than meets the eye. The occasional Amaliaa raiding party would not account for people going missing in these kinds of numbers. The total is too great and the questions too many. It would not surprise me in the least to learn of another hand in this. But whose? Countless travelers pass through Drybone every day. And even if it were one among them, how would we best discover who may be implicit in these vanishings? What say we turn an eye to the common folk themselves? It may be among them that we find the reasons for these vanishings. Well, forbid it be so. There is a merchant by the name of Ungust who was born here in Drybone and grew up in the Golden Bazaar. A rough character, but he knows the people here better than anyone else. I'd wager he's at the inn, quaffing away the day's earnings. Here, I'll write a note for you to show him, else he's not like to speak to you. Well, gods be damned. You're that bloody adventurer who threatened me back in Uda. What in the seven hells do you want with me now? Dear friend. Missing people. Please help. Yours, E. Sambert. Folk around here are as wary as they come. They'll turn tail and run if you so much as pass wind nearby. Played them all for fools and coaxed some hard labor out of them. I did. If anything, they're even more timid than before, what with all the disappearances. You can go talk to him yourself if you don't believe me. Please, miss, just leave me be. I've nothing to say but this, Tal take who, or whatever's been feeding off us low folk. What do you want from me? I don't know anything, I swear. Please don't kill me. Just as I told you, wasn't it? The whole lot of them are terrified. There's been talk of folk getting abducted, but if you ask me, they simply up and moved on to a better place. This place isn't exactly Costa del Sol, if you know what I'm saying. Welcome back, Natiri. Have you learned aught of import? I see. I suppose I should have expected as much from Ungust. Well, another thought occurred to me in your absence. The common folk are nothing if not fervent in their religious beliefs. Perhaps if they speak freely to their gods, then the clergy may know something of use. If we would know what the common folk speak of to their gods, we've no better place to ask than at the Church of St. Adama Landa. It is a small and humble church, found to the northwest of here. And so long as you are headed there, might I ask you to deliver this embalmed corpse? A morbid request, I grant you, but it must be borne to burial, and I trust none more than you to see it done. Seek out a man named Marks, he tends the graves of the lich yard. He will tell you where the body is to be interred. I am Marks, yes. A body? Of course, there have been so many bodies of late. I apologize, miss. If you seek a place of burial, then there is an empty grave atop the ridge. Take the path and lay him to rest there. May they all walk in Tal's realm. What? Missing people? I'm afraid I cannot help you. But maybe Sister Orstan. She has been kind to me. Everyone has been so kind. I don't know why, though. Pardon me. You will find Sister Orson within the church walls.
I hear you have done us the service of burying a fallen soul. Please accept our gratitude and extend it to Asembard when next you see him. You seek knowledge of missing dry bone inhabitants. It is true I am closer to the people than any other of the order. I confide in them, and they in me. When they wish to speak to their keeper, Tal, I am the medium through which they do. Should I learn anything pertinent, I will be sure to share the information with you. I only wish Marks would be more helpful in the matter. I pray he did nothing to offend. He saw terrible things during the calamity. His scars run deep. Indeed, he seems to now prefer the company of the dead over the living. While tragic, I fear such behavior ill befits the church. I received word not long ago that one of our recent visitors, a man called Thancred, I believe, took offense at his conduct. I must have words with Marks, and soon.
Thank you, Natiri. A burial is no easy thing, even when the departed is a stranger. Were you able to learn all of the missing common folk? You've been keeping yourself rather busy of late, haven't you, Natiri? A pleasure, my dear Ising. The name is Thancred, and I share a passion with you and our mutual friend here for learning what has become of these missing persons and why. I, too, spoke with Ungust more times than I care to count. There seems to be some truth to this notion of the common folk speaking their secrets only to those in service to the gods. Frustration, prayer, penance. Abject deeds done behind closed doors, away from prying eyes. Who better to take the pious unawares than she who takes confession, the good Sister Orson herself? Orson? She could. Even the most beautiful roses have thorns, my friend. And you would be wise to keep an eye to this rose. Still, the light's keeper Marks. I'd swear to the 12 I've seen that face elsewhere before. Sister Orson. It cannot be. Though, she is wont to travel to the Golden Bazaar on her own, and it is not uncommon to see her speaking to the children. But, no. It could not be she, could it? I grow weary of these suspicions. I know there is one child in particular that she is fond of. Pray seek out the boy, Natiri, and see if you cannot glean something from him about Orson's activities. Please help. Sister Orson went out all on her own and hasn't come back. She always reads to me right here, about Tal and the Order and the other side. I told her I lost my shiny thing and she went looking for it. But what if the monsters outside hurt her? Please find her.
You are the one from the church. Thank goodness you arrived when you did. It seems my gratitude is yours yet again. You spoke with the child? Yes. Well, I was able to find his lost trinket. It is a ring given him by his mother before she passed. I will see it safely back to him.
Sister Orson was attacked outside the Golden Bazaar? Gods forfend. I will secure a room at the inn for her should she require any rest. Searching for the mementos of orphans? And risking her own well-being in the doing, no less? Certainly not the dastardly deeds Thancred would have us believe. I am well glad I reserved that in room for Sister Orson. It seems she received greater injuries from her attackers than she initially let on. Thankfully, she is expected to make a full recovery. But now, on to the matter at hand. Thancred came looking for you once more. He left word that he will be waiting at the Amalie encampment to the southeast. I pray the two of you are able to uncover some evidence regarding these disappearances. Ah, there you are, Natiri. So good of you to come. Indeed, I've heard all about good Sister Orson. Sambard said her wounds were serious. It would seem my suspicions about the poor Rose were misplaced. But false though they were, perhaps my suspicions were not entirely without merit. Whilst following Sister Orson near the Golden Bazaar, a band of Amalie caught my eye. I tracked them as far as this encampment, but, well, let us say that I would much prefer to keep my distance and remain here. This, of course, brings me to why I requested you, dear Natiri. Would you be so kind as to take a look inside? Well, did anything tickle your fancy? This leaflet. See the wealth of knowledge to the hands of your children. It looks to be some sort of assembly to provide the poor with work. The lettering, though, atrocious, is it not? And these bits about milk will seem somewhat less than steady. I find it hard to believe one among the order pendants. Pray take this to the inn at Camp Dragon. Let us see what Sister Orson makes of it.
My savior comes again. To what do I owe the honor this day? What is this? Blasphemous. These are not our teachings at all. This was not made by any true brother or sister of the order, of that I can assure you. Come to think of it, weeks ago, the church was plagued by missing garments. Could someone be posing as a priest of the order to deceive the people?
The plot thickens, Natiri. Our culprit pretends to be a priest to lend credence to his deception. There is no doubt an irony in there somewhere. But I suspect we have a worthy adversary on our hands. I shall consider how best to handle this. For now, tell Sambard what we have learned here. Posing as a priest? To think. These troubling notions aside, it is gratifying to finally be able to move this investigation forward. Thank you once again, Natiri. I shall keep my ears and eyes open, now more than ever. I'm afraid I have not seen any unusual activity, nor have any at this camp given me cause to doubt them. But unless we can identify the culprit, and soon, more innocents will fall victim. Do not despair just yet, my friend. An idea occurs to me. Our suspect has been posing as a priest, using leaflets bearing false promises to lure the poor. Let Natiri and me serve like with like by posing as impoverished souls in need of succor. Ah, I dare to hope that this will yield us the answers we seek. It will be a dangerous undertaking, but you two are more than capable of looking after yourselves. I'm next to useless in a battle, but I can supply the garments for the disguise. These old tunics and slops should serve your needs, so long as you don't mind the smell and the stains. These will serve very well. You have my thanks. Listen, Natiri. So as to lay the foundation for our little plot, we must make it widely known that more vagrants have arrived at camp and are desperate for coin. To this end, I want you to don the old garments Sambard has lent us, and beg for work around the camp. Before long, the false priest should catch wind and approach us. And you are? Humph, another refugee, by the looks of you. The immortal flames have neither work nor coin for your like. Begone, and see to it you don't make a nuisance of yourself. I preach the teachings of Azima, the warden. Hast thou come to partake of the honey of her wisdom? Azima is keeper of the sun and goddess of inquiry. All is laid bare beneath the light of her divine countenance. Open thy heart to this light, needy child, and thou shalt want for naught till the end of days.
What is it? Gods, not again. Look, being poor doesn't give you the right to pester whomsoever you like. Why don't you keep with your own kind out by that muddy pond of yours at Drybone?
And I was about to get to the good part. Looking for work, you say? Sorry, but we don't have any openings. Now, get out of here so I can finish my story.
Greetings, good madam. Is there aught I might assist you with? I don't believe there is. I'm afraid our wares are very expensive. Mayhap you should rejoin your fellows out at the pond north of Sandgate.
You have quite a knack for being a nuisance, Natiri. The camp is abuzz with talk of newly arrived vagrants. And though we were unable to attract our wayward transgressor, we were able to learn that the poor have a commune by the pond north of Sandgate, to the east of here. The eyes of the authorities do not reach that place, rather ideal for spiriting away hapless souls. Let us go there and wait for the kindly priest to come and offer us aid and comfort. Needless to say, you'll need to remain in disguise. A fine morning for catching false priests, wouldn't you say? You look absolutely smashing, Natiri, positively dressed for deception. All that's left, then, is to wait for our quarry to appear. Oh, you poor, unfortunate souls. This is no way for men to live. No way at all. Who are you? What do you want? Be at ease, child, for I mean you no harm. I am a priest of the Order of Novel, and I come to offer you succor. This leaflet bears the teachings of Nal. Trust to them, and they will surely set you free from the shackles of penury. A tempting offer, but I'm afraid I must decline. On account of that atrocious performance. You would have made a god's awful mummer, Ungust. What? How did you know, Dash? You bastards tricked me. Please don't hurt me. I was only doing it to protect my people. Is that so? Do continue. Very well, I'm a man of the Golden Bazaar. Raised there, if not born. Some moons ago, the Amali AA raids began. They would appear sudden as a sandstorm, and plunder and pillage at will. Our defenders couldn't stand against them, few as they were. Everyone lived in fear. I wanted to save my people, but being a merchant was all I knew. And so I did the only thing a merchant could. I approached the Amali AA in hopes of brokering a deal. In return for sparing the Golden Bazaar, they made demands, outrageous ones. Demands? Of what kind, pray tell? First of all, they wanted the schedule for crystal shipments from the Nanao mines. For this, I bribed one of the workers to leak me the information. Next, they wanted me to bring them people. So, I posed as a priest to lure in the vulnerable and give them over to the Amali AA. I didn't have a choice. Protecting one's home is a noble thing, but at the cost of innocence? You could have sought the aid of the immortal flames, yet you did not. I suspect you are not telling me the full story. What made you sell out your own people? Speak. That's good. What did you say? The coin was good, I said. I could sell mole meat for a score of lifetimes and not see even a fraction of what the Amali AA pay me. You sacrificed innocence so that you could line your own pockets? Words fail to express the contempt I feel for you. Spare me your contempt. If you want to blame someone for the mess the world's in, then blame yourselves or the gods. Ooh-wah. Not you again. Were you the one leaking the immortal flames patrol routes to the enemy as well? Spit it out. No. I know nothing about that. I swear it. At this stage, I'm rather disinclined to believe aught that leaves your mouth. But no matter. There'll be time enough to learn the truth. Natiri, be a dear and take word of these developments to Minfilia, would you? I shall prize everything I can out of this filth. The abductees are still somewhere out there. Our foremost priority is to rescue them.
Welcome back, Natiri. I am pleased that you and Thancred have been getting along. I see. You have done well to uncover the truth. My thanks for the report. As Thancred said, we must ascertain where the abducted were taken, and none but the Amalj AA know the answer. Suffice it to say they will not willingly part with this information. I fear blood will be spilled before all is said and done. Though we seek a peaceful solution to the primal problem, we must needs be ready to fight for our cause. That you might take to the field suitably prepared, I would have you meet with a goblin acquaintance of mine. His name is Mutamix Bubblypots, and he is a scholar of no small repute. Mutamix is renowned for having introduced a revolutionary method of enhancing equipment to Eorzea. The knowledge of this method was once a closely guarded secret, but thanks to Mutamix and his students, it has now been disseminated to the great benefit of all the realm. It would serve you well to acquire an understanding of the process. For this purpose, I shall lend you a blade. Take it to Mutamix and bid him use it to demonstrate his craft to you. Mutamix is ever to be found at his camp in central Thanalan, a place known as the Bonfire. Look for a pillar of smoke, and the way will become clear.
PSHHH. Shko? Who is Uplander come to tent ring of Mutamix bubbly pots? Fighty Tool drinks in airy self.
When full of airy self, Fighty Tool changes to Stony Shine, name of materia.
If materia join with other Fighty Tool, then Big Eyes. Fighty Tool gains power of airy self. PSHHH. Shko, Mutamix is reckoning that Uplander is friend of Minfield. Yes, tongue flaps reach ears of Mutamix with fastness. Minfilia wants Uplander to see power of materia. Uplander brings Fighty Tool to Mutamix, yes? Shko. Fighty Tool is unstrong as eating tool. Make good teachy show of power of materia. The materia, master. Now as of Uplander point at Fighty Tool, yes? PSHHH. Shko. Materia join with Fighty Tool. Fighty Tool gains power of materia. Fighty Tool reborn. Here, Uplander take Fighty Tool to Minfilia. Materia, strictly speaking, is a kind of crystal. It is created by drawing out the etheric constituents from a piece of equipment and then crystallizing them.
Not just any old equipment will serve, mind you. It must have sufficient spirit hold, that being a measure of how fully an item has been imbued with its owner's spirit.
When ye attach a piece of materia to gear, ye imbue the host item with its power. That's how Master Mutamix turned the dagger of yours from summit as would have struggled to cut stake into a weapon worth wielding. PSHHH. Shko, Uplander wishes to be joiner of materia? Then Uplander best fill brain case with knowings of crafty making. With knowings of crafty making, Uplander can become joiner of materia. If Uplander wants brain case to rattle with knowings of materia, Uplander best trade tongue flaps with learning ones of Mutamix.
Welcome back, Natiri. I trust your visit to the bonfire proved fruitful. Ah, what a remarkable difference a single piece of materia can make. Granted, the skills needed to manipulate the substance are not easily acquired, but one need only look upon the results to realize such efforts are worthwhile. As I am sure you are aware, the quality of one's equipment can be the difference between victory and defeat. Materia may well give you the edge you need, Naturi, so make it your ally. Now, it is time we discuss the matter of your next mission. Pray speak with me when you are ready to begin. Word has arrived from Thancred concerning our ongoing investigation. It appears he was able to extract some information from our friend Angus, the false priest. He revealed that he is due to meet with the Amalj AA to discuss their dealings. The Immortal Flames believe that the meeting will present an ideal opportunity to ambush and capture the Amalj AA responsible for the abductions, and so they mean to have Angus attend as planned. As the Amalj AA are anticipated to offer fierce resistance, the Immortal Flames have requested our support. I would have you provide it to them, Naturi. Thancred is presently attending to another matter, but will join you as soon as he is able. Until such time as he does, you will be the Scion's sole representative on the ground. Before he left, he bade me tell you to save some for him. Such is his confidence in you, a confidence I share. When you have made ready, pray take yourself to Camp Drybone and report to the Flame Sergeant leading the mission. May you walk in the light of the crystal.
Ah, you're Natiri Virus of the Scions? My thanks for coming, friend. We're stronger for your assistance. Allow me to brief you on our mission. Our objective is to capture Amali AA and prize from them the whereabouts of the abductees. The lizardmen aren't aware that their man, Ungust, has been exposed. When they come to the rendezvous point to meet the traitor, we'll spring the trap. Owing to the clandestine nature of the mission, we can deploy only a small contingent. Every member must count, and so we requested the aid of the Scions. The rendezvous will take place at the Invisible City. Please make your way there and lie in wait. We stand to learn much and more of the Amali AA plot if the mission succeeds. Natiri. Let's make sure it does. Is the bait in place? Our man is in position, sir. Good. We make our move as soon as the Amali AA appear. Yes, sir. Ooh-wah. What is the meaning of this? Wait, something's amiss. Hee hee hee. Aha! I'm afraid your little ambush ends here. I eluded the immortal flame's clutches for moons before finally being caught. Did you not wonder how I managed it? 'Twas almost as if someone was feeding him information from the inside. Gaha! Your every movement was known to me ahead of time. Hee hee hee. Now, as much as I'd love to chat a while, I have appointments to keep. They're all yours. Put up your weapon, or your comrade's a dead man. Behind you. Bring her. The rest of you, march. Traitorous scum. I fear the Amali AA mean to give us to their god as an offering. If I must die, then let me die a soldier's death, with steel in hand. Lord of the Inferno, hearken to our plea. Lord of the Inferno, deliver us from our misery. Almighty Ifrit, Lord of the Inferno, your humble servants beseech you. Grace us with your divine presence. Almighty Ifrit, we bring before you ignorant savages who know not your Godhead. If it please you, Lord, scorch their heathen souls with your cleansing flame, and mark them as your own. Bloody hells. Bring this too as well. What's going on? This ain't what we agreed. None but servants of Lord Ifrit may behold the rite of summoning. The souls of unbelievers are forfeit. No. Spare me, I beg you. Pitiful children of man. By my breath I claim you. Arise once more as my loyal minions. Feed my flames with your faith, and all who stand against us shall burn. Almighty Ifrit, my one true God. Your words are my bread. Impossible. By what sorcery do you resist my master's will? Could it be? Your soul already belongs to another? Yes, that is the only explanation. Forsooth, thy frail mortal frame can serve as vessel to the blessing of but one. Yet I smell not the taint of another upon thee. The truth of thine allegiance waxeth clear, thou art of the godless blessed number. The paragons warned of thine abhorrent kind. Thine existence is not to be suffered. Pray forgive my lateness. I was delayed by a congregation of Amaliae zealots. I swear, each seemed more evangelical than the last. Humph. Persistent one. Phew. I see the blood-sworn wasted no time extracting the captives. No less than I'd expect from the Flame General's hand-picked men. As for those two, it is fair to say their hardships have only just begun. They have much to answer for. I feel I owe you an apology, Natiri. Had I known this mission would prove so dangerous, I would never have left you to face it alone. You have been given a veritable baptism of fire. But let us continue this conversation in more agreeable surrounds. Camp Drybone, shall we say? This way, sir. So that was the mighty Ifrit. And what a disappointment he was. The readings are nowhere near what I had anticipated, even taking Uldan interference into account. You should know better than to rely upon 5-year-old data left by the 7th Legion. Nor can we expect any form of support from the motherland, given the troubles at court. We have only ourselves to rely upon. Ever the pessimist, my dear Livia. Promise me you'll never change.
We've wasted enough time here. That meter of yours is too old to give any reading worth a damn.
Not that there was aught worth a damn for it to read, but I take your point. I suppose we must content ourselves with the knowledge that we've achieved our primary objective. Yet I find that I am troubled by that adventurer's unexpected show of strength. Could such a foe prove a hindrance to our plans?
Perhaps, but that is a consideration for another time. You have been given a task. That is your priority. I suggest you treat it as such. Fail to do as my lord commands, and I will spare him the trouble of punishing you.
With allies like that. Beware a woman in love. I shall need to be on my best behavior. Ah, there you are, Natiri. Come, rest a while, you will have no better opportunity. After witnessing their god's ignominious defeat, the Amali AA will be less inclined to risk our wrath, for a time, at least. Now, where were we? Ah yes, I was in the process of apologizing. I do hope you can forgive me. I arrived too late to be of any use, to you or the abductees. They may be whole of body, but the same cannot be said of their minds. For once a man is tempered. Ah, but it ill suits me to dwell on the negatives. Amidst all our misfortunes, there is still reason to rejoice. Ifrit is slain, and by your hand, no less. That is the deed of no ordinary individual, Natiri. Not that I ever thought you were ordinary. On the contrary, I have long suspected that you have the potential to shape the fate of this realm. What can I say? My fine eye for talent remains undimmed. Minfilia will be proud beyond all reckoning when she hears of your deeds. I trust you shan't object to my bearing the tidings to her. That way I can claim to have contributed something to this mission. You, meanwhile, have earned yourself a rest. Take some time to relax, and return to the waking sands when you are good and ready. We can discuss matters in more detail then. Just don't take too long, will you? The realm's problems won't solve themselves.
Ah, the triumphant hero returns. Thancred told us the news upon his arrival. He is presently in the Solar, giving a full report to Lady Minfilia. You should join them at once. Lady Minfilia is most eager to see you.
My late arrival nearly cost Natiri her life. I wasn't there when the Amali AA took her prisoner. And I wasn't there when they served her to Ifrit. Yes, by some miracle, she survived, but that does not excuse the fact that she should never have to face such dangers alone. I failed her utterly. Just as I'm failing you all.
What's done is done, Thancred. You can ill blame yourself for every. Natiri, it is so good to see you again.
Impeccable timing, my friend. I had just finished regaling Minfilia with your heroic exploits.
Thancred has told me everything. You have done well to return to us.
The perils you faced were undeniably great, yet a part of me believes that I had no cause to fear. And now we can put paid to our long investigation. As we suspected, the Amali AA undertook both the robbery and the abductions with the aim of summoning their primal, Ifrit.
Nor is this tale limited to Order. Similar incidents have been rife in both Limsa Limitsa and Gridania of late.
I dare say you've been curious as to how these crimes are linked to the primals. Permit me to explain. Having manifested in the physical realm, primals must consume ether if they are to maintain their presence here. And the stronger they become, the more ether they require. Now, ether exists throughout creation. It flows through all life, and permeates the very air that we breathe. Alas, this alone will not suffice to sustain the likes of Ifrit. Nay, he and his kind require a more concentrated source of ether, crystals.
It is for this reason that incidents involving crystals can often be traced back to a primal.
Which leaves us with the why of the abductions. To understand this, you must first understand how primals are born. When all is well with the world, primals possess no physical form. Their essence is dispersed across the great river of ether.
However, when the world is plunged into chaos, those who worship the primals cry out to their gods for deliverance from suffering. These cries serve as a beacon toward which a primal's essence is irresistibly drawn. It is this coming together, or etheric coalescence, which grants the being's physical form. Once born, a primal gains strength from its followers' worship. The more numerous and fervent they are, the more powerful their god becomes.
But the primals are seldom satisfied with such reverence as their adherents freely give, and in order to gain more power, they do not scruple to create followers. They do this by tempering mortals, a process to which you yourself were subjected.
Yet even as Ifrit took your comrades in his thrall, you alone remained unaffected. This is thanks to the power you possess, the Echo. We know not the why of it, but those blessed with the Echo are immune to primal influence. It is as though a greater power protects us. When first you came to us, I told you that the Echo would be instrumental in dealing with the primal threat. I trust you now begin to see why.
The recent incidents all share a common trait: meticulous planning. Such elaborate designs are a new development, and one which fills me with an unshakable sense of foreboding.
While I share your concern, my presiding feeling is one of relief at your safe return. Ah, the immortal flames assured me that they will deal with the aftermath, so you need not concern yourself with that. We may rest easy for a time. I suggest you take full advantage of the respite, Naturi. You may be sure it won't last long. Once the people learn the identity of the hero who fell Ifrit, I fear you will have nary a moment to yourself.
Whether she intended to or no, Minfilia neglected to tell you something I think it would be best you heard from one of us. It concerns the tempered abductees that were rescued. I am sorry to report that all are to be put to death, the flames with whom you were imprisoned included. Needless to say, this information must not be made known to the public. I swear to you that we would not do this if there were any other recourse, but once a man is tempered, he is tempered for life. His very existence lends strength to the primal whom he cannot choose but worship. And so we Scions continue our fight, that no more innocents need be sacrificed. I hope that you will continue to stand with us, Natiri. But I should be going. I must offer my apologies to the Flame General for the losses his people suffered. Till next time. Gods forgive me. How many more lives? Louisoix would never have allowed this to happen. I have to do better. I have to be stronger.
Until not so very long ago, you were but one of the many adventurers seeking to make their way in Eorzea. But for your character and courage, you were raised to the esteemed post of envoy. Thereafter, you traveled the realm, aiding those in need without thought of reward, confirming to Yshtala that the Scions would benefit from your aid. And no sooner had you joined us than you personally bested the Primal Ifrit. You have achieved a great deal in a short time, and won fame in so doing. Alas, fame does not come without a price, as you will soon discover. We have guests, Naturi, or rather, you have guests.
Beg pardons. Ah, Lady Menphilia. Radiant as always. I am given to understand that the Scions of the Seventh Dawn have but recently welcomed a new hero into their midst. I am here on behalf of the Maelstrom, Grand Company of Limsa Lominsa, to offer said hero a place of honor within our ranks.
As you can see, Naturi, your recent exploits have garnered you the attentions of the Grand Companies of Eorzea. Each organization would have a Freetsbane for its own. To this end, all three have sent officers to court you. They would not ordinarily go to such lengths to enlist a new recruit. That they have is evidence of their high regard for you. I find myself wondering how word of Naturi's deed spread so quickly. That the immortal flames should know of her triumph is to be expected, but what of the other grand companies? Eat.
Your reputation precedes you, Mistress Virus. 'Tis no ordinary woman who can face a primal and emerge the victor. The Order of the Twin Adder has need of valiant women such as you. Join your strength to ours, friend, and together let us ensure that peace ever reigns over the Twelfthwood. What a pleasure it is to finally meet you, Mistress Virus. My comrades speak of you in the most glowing terms. A woman of your talent belongs with the immortal flames. Join your strength to ours, friend, and together let us secure a prosperous future for Uda. The Admiral was not exaggerating when she said you have the look of a hero. Full often does she speak of you, friend. As do many others in Limsa. Long before the rest of Erzea took note, your name was well known to us, owing to your valorous deeds on behalf of our citizens. It is only natural that we should want you for the Maelstrom. Join your strength to ours, and together let us see the grand vessel of Limsa Lominsa to the shores of glory. Lady Menphilia.
Very well. Though I am quite sure you need no reminding, mayhap a brief summary of the situation would help to clarify your thoughts on this matter. As you know, the Grand Companies are all-encompassing organizations empowered to call upon the martial, economic, and technological resources of their respective city-states in times of strife. There are presently 3 such organizations in Eorzea: the Maelstrom of Limsa Lominsa, the Order of the Twin Adder of Gridania, and the Immortal Flames of Uda. Serving a Grand Company means serving the nation to which it belongs. You will be charged with its defense and tasked with advancing its cause. In return for your faithful service, you will be furnished with various rewards, some of which may well prove useful to you in your other endeavors. If you are agonizing over which of the Grand Companies best deserves your loyalty, be at ease. The commitment you make this day need not be permanent. Should you wish to shift your allegiance at a later date, you are entitled to do so. And yet, I concede that it is no small choice you face. Ah, a thought occurs to me. You will, of course, recall that the 3 city-states are planning to hold remembrance services. Well, as part of the proceedings, I am given to understand that the leader of each Grand Company will deliver an address. Hearing these addresses ought to help you make an informed decision. What say you, my dear officers?
A fine suggestion. You are as wise as you are beautiful, my lady. Very well. Let Natiri hear our leaders speak, then return here with her decision. We eagerly await your answer.
I know full well that adventurers are by their nature a liberty-loving breed, and not best suited to the discipline of military service, but I strongly urge you to join a grand company nonetheless. While the promise of reward is enticing in itself, it is not the only benefit. You are possessed of great power, Natiri, and with it you are capable of doing untold good. Yet know that great power is wont to attract attention, not all of it friendly. There will be those who wish you ill, and you must needs be on the lookout for them. Yet however vigilant you are but one woman. In the midst of a grand company, however, you will be one woman amongst many, a friend amongst friends. Your achievements will be shared, and so will the danger. I can think of no better arrangement. Of course, joining one organization need not mean leaving another. I hope that we can continue to rely upon your aid. The 12 know that we will have need of it in the days ahead. The grand companies seek to protect their own nations. We Scions, on the other hand, seek to preserve the future of Eorzea as a whole. Similar, yet not quite the same. Now then, I expect that you will be afield more often in the future. As such, I would have you carry this link pearl with you at all times. It will allow us to stay in touch regardless of location. Eorzea is changing, Natiri, and you have the power to help shape it anew. None can say what the morrow will bring, but so long as we believe in ourselves, there is naught we cannot achieve. Now, it is time you made ready for your journey. Before you depart, be sure to speak to Totoro. She will apprise you as to where and when the remembrance services are due to take place. I'm sorry about all the attention you're getting, Natiri. I might have sung your praises a little too loudly, and often, to a few too many people. Ahem. Next time, I'll be sure to hold my tongue, literally, if necessary. Anyway, I expect you want to know where and when the remembrance services are taking place. If all goes to plan, Gridania's Grand Company, the Order of the Twin Adder, will hold the first of the 3 services, and Elder Seedseer Kin Isena will deliver her address at Mikiro's amphitheatre. I should probably mention at this point that due to the organizational challenges involved in assembling all of the involved parties, it's possible that the order of the services might change. Still, there's not much we can do about that, so make Gridania your first port of call. Next, you'll need to go to Uda, where Flame General Rolban Alden will be addressing the masses at the Royal Promenade. Oh, and it's rumored there's to be a special guest. How exciting! Last but not least, you must make your way to the stateroom in Limpsa Luminsa, where Maelstrom Chief Admiral Merla Blofuswin will be giving her address. The room is accessible via the Admiral's lift. Identify yourself to the sentry, Xanthal, and he will admit you. Got all that? Well, off you go, then. I hope you find the remembrance services suitably educational. I suggest visiting the city-states in my prescribed order, though with your record of impeccable timing and luck, the schedule may well change in favor of your preferred travel plans. Farewell.
I lost my son to the calamity.
The 3 Seedseers are all together.
Some say you couldn't take a step without stumbling over a body. Our forebears were once strangers in the Twelveswood. Fearful of the green wrath, they hid themselves in the dark recesses of the earth. Yet they dreamed of basking in the dappled sunlight of the forest. Through great effort, they proved their worth to the elementals, and were granted a place beneath the boughs. So it was that Gridania was born, some 5 centuries ago. Working hand in hand, the Hure and the Elysian settlers sowed the seeds of our civilization, and soon they were joined by folk of all races. So nourished by the waters of unity, and blessed by the light of the matron, Gridania flourished into the great nation it is today.
Do you see the Gridanian standard? There, hanging behind the Elder Seedseer. The entwined serpents represent the unity between Hure and Elysian. An elegant symbol, do you not agree?
In accordance with the will of the elementals, we have embraced a life of peace. Alas, our neighbors have not always sought the same for themselves, nor for us. Though we Gridanians have no love for war, we have still less for those who would threaten our way of life. Ever have we fought to protect the sanctity of the Twelveswood. When the Garlean Empire brought its war of conquest to Eorzea, we rallied under the noble standard of the Twin Adder that we might push back the encroaching darkness. And it was we who prepared the ground for the reformation of the Eorzean Alliance, that all the peoples of this realm might stand united against the common threat. "5 years ago, the Alliance met the armies of the Empire upon the fields of Cartano. It would prove the bloodiest battle in recent memory. Countless Gridanian lives were lost. As Supreme Commander of the Order of the Twin Adder, ever shall I bear the weight of our people's sacrifice. Alas, their loss was not the only tragedy to befall us that day, for soon came the calamity. The scars borne by our forest are a constant reminder of its violence. Our lives have been irrevocably changed, each waking hour a struggle to survive. Driven to desperation, some among us have strayed from the path of righteousness, resorting to banditry, poaching, and other unconscionable deeds. To compound our woes, the Ixal have returned in force, emboldened by our suffering. They test our defenses nigh without cease, and prey upon the vulnerable. So beleaguered from within and without, it is of little wonder that our unity now falters. Dark times are upon us.
Time was a man could walk
pox
the
on that
high
bloody
roads without
Ixal.
fear.
On this day, 5 years ago, countless Eorzeans laid down their lives that we might behold another dawn. Please join with me in honoring their memory.
And how do you propose to honor the memory of those you cannot remember, pray tell?
The destruction wrought by the calamity was indiscriminate. It dealt death to Eorzean and Garlean alike. Yet while we have labored to rebuild our homes, to rebuild our lives, The Empire has set about raising steel fortresses here in the Twelveswood. Let none be mistaken. The Garleans remain the greatest threat to our survival. If we are to stand against them, we must remember what it is to be united. Our many troubles blind us to the woes of our fellow man. Thence is harmony lost. Yet harmony is the founding principle of Gridania. We are gathered here to honor the fallen. Let them be honored not only in word and thought, but through concerted action. I bid you join hands with me once more beneath the Twin Adder's standard. And together, let us heal the forest's wounds, that our progeny might live in harmony beneath these ancient boughs. For serenity, purity, and sanctity. We must think of the children!
Woods will be done.
It's up to us to protect the
All
forest.
the elementals! If you'll permit me, Alfie no. And my sister, Alize, at your service. I saw at a glance that you were a fellow traveler. You might call us students of history, sampling the realm's remembrances in pursuit of enlightenment.
The Gridanians are unfortunate enough to have to contend with two beast tribes. The Ninal are unquestionably the more troublesome, being of a naturally warlike disposition, and want to summon their bloodthirsty primal, Garuda. The Sylphs, by contrast, are peaceful in nature, being mischievous rather than malevolent, and have long been on friendly terms with the Gridanians until recently, at least. Alas, they have grown aloof, a change observed at roughly the time they summoned the primal Ramu. The Gridanians have no love for war, and they consider open conflict a last resort. Though they clash with the Ninal ever more regularly, you may be assured that they do so in self-defense. As for the Sylphs, they are as yet bound by a peace treaty, though one wonders how long it will be before it is broken. The Twelveswood was grievously wounded during the calamity, leaving Gridania vulnerable to attack. The people are hopeful that restoring the wood, and thereby the power of the elementals, will put an end to their woes. Yet how long will that take? Centuries, I'd wager. Meanwhile, the Ninal will continue their incursions, spurred on by Garuda and her insatiable appetite for destruction. Whether the Gridanians like it or not, sooner or later it will come to all-out war. And when it does, the Order of the Twin Adder will need all the help it can muster. How valuable might the aid of a capable adventurer prove to them then?
Behold, 'tis the Sultana Nanamo herself!
And Roban as well!
Hark you, souls of flame, drawn to the bosom of the desert, where the fire burns brightest and shall rage forevermore. Hurrah! Rauban! Where since antiquity, Under the sage and judicious rule of the Ul dynasty, we have wrought sand into gold. Where by the grace and glory of Naldar have our brave sons and daughters flourished and prospered. I speak of Uldar!
There, at the Flame General's back flies the Grand Company's standard. Note the sigil. The golden scales of order balance the jewel of prosperity with the flame of might.
Great and many are the gifts our nation has given the realm. In Eorzea's darkest hour, on the killing fields of Cartano, none spent more in blood and gold than we. Thus was the 7th Imperial Legion laid low.
So that's how it happened. How soon history forgets.
Yet many left our gates, never to return. Let us pray for our absent brothers and sisters, that they might know happiness in the great beyond, as Thal's honored guests. If the fates were fair, the price we paid that day would have bought us victory. Alas, they are not. And now, but 5 years into this 7th Umbral era, the spirit of sacrifice which granted us our strength is all but dead. Look around you. What do you see? A people divided, downtrodden, and enthralled. Where are the merciful alms of the rich? Where is the just steel of the righteous? I ask you, is this the great nation our brothers and sisters gave their lives to save? You who call this living, dishonor the name of the immortal flames. It is but a slow death. Our enemies surround us. The savage hordes of the Amalja wait beside our roads, strangling the lifelines of trade. Meanwhile, the Garleans make mock of our borders and despoil our land of its natural wealth. We stand on a precipice, yet we do not act. Whether trader or soldier, monetarist or royalist, all must recognize that a divided Uldar stands to fall. Victory and fortune walk hand in hand. Ye who seek glory and wealth, look not to what little you can snatch from your neighbor, but to the boundless wealth of the world beyond. Now is the time to unite. Now is the time to ride forth. In the name of the Sultana, I beseech you. Line not your own coffers, but those of the immortal flames. Seek not to prosper from Uldar, but to restore her to prosperity. As the realm prospers, so shall Uldar. As Uldar prospers, so shall her people.
Ja, for Uldar!
Together we are one.
Your Grace.
Rauban? People of Uldar, I, Nanamo, 17th in the line of Ul, address you. Much has been made of the wealth of Uldar. Yet those who measure that wealth in coins and carats are gravely deceived. For the true wealth of Uldar lies in the health, happiness, and hopes of her people. Beloved subjects, I bid you raise aloft the torch of Uldar, that her flames might serve as a beacon for all Eorzea to see.
Long live Nanamo!
Glory to the Sultana!
For victory and fortune, stride fearless into the inferno, for we are, by fire, reborn! Forsooth!
The time is now!
I
Fancy meeting you again.
The Eldons have a long history of conflict with the Amaliae, the beast tribe that worships the primal Ifrit. Judging by your look of distaste, I take it you have encountered them. The Eldons do not shy from confrontation. If aught threatens their precious prosperity, they will seek to crush it. So have they dealt with Ifrit thus far, smothering his flames each time he is stoked to life. Yet he is but one of several problems. Though they have been quiet these past 5 years, the Garleans have not gone away. Meanwhile, refugees continue to arrive in droves, and Uda has no clear policy on how to deal with them. After all, not even the Sultanate's coffers are bottomless. And even assuming they had the coin, resources will ever be finite. Which brings me back to the subject of Ifrit. It has been observed that the Amaliae are summoning him with ever-increasing frequency. Every time they do so, the Uldan send their forces to smite the primal, and though they invariably succeed, each victory is bought with blood. It is a war of attrition which they cannot well sustain. Small wonder, then, that the immortal flames are eager to recruit more members. At such a desperate hour, an adventurer of your experience would be a most welcome addition to their ranks. Here to attend the remembrance service? Be quick, the Admiral is due to give her address at any moment.
The Garleans are another matter altogether.
So much for our alliance.
It's sunk beyond the seabed.
Brothers and sisters of the sea, hearken unto me. Look upon this, our mighty crimson standard, and tell me your hearts do not swell with pride. "700 summers have come and gone since our forefathers first ran aground in this fertile bay. In that time, guided by the Mother of Oceans, Limsa Lominsa has grown from humble fishing village to uncontested ruler of the 5 seas and beyond.
Did you look as the Admiral bid you? It is a rather stirring standard, I must say. The crimson field is meant to signify the blood of fallen crewmates, while the black longship represents a pirate vessel.
When the Garlean Empire marched upon Eorzea, we assembled beneath the Maelstrom standard, and our grand company was reborn. All answered the call, from the Knights of the Barracuda to Hilthier's bloody executioners, and together we met our would-be conquerors upon the field of Cartano. That day, the world bore witness to the united strength of Limsa Lominsa. I swear to you, no army ever fought harder or with more courage, yet many of ours did not survive. Join me now in remembering those who fought in the name of freedom and fell. May their souls be returned to the sea.
Freedom. Yes, they have always been rather fond of their freedom. Much as the beast tribes have. Small wonder. Beneath the surface, one would struggle to tell them apart.
It has been 5 long years since the calamity struck. 5 long years of tireless rebuilding. Yet still the wounds of the calamity fester and weep. But when I stand atop the mizzenmast and gaze out upon our battered and broken vessel, I see an undying spirit. Did we not build all this from the wreck of the Galadian all those centuries ago? Shall we not do so again? Yet there are those who would see this ship of ours sink beneath the waves of the restless Rotano. The Sahagin creep ashore seeking blood for their accursed god.
Those fishback
The Sahagin
bastards.
have risen?
While the mines of Ogomoro spew forth kobolds who push ever south, despoiling our lands as they go. These savage beast tribes will be the first waves to crash against our creaking hull. And behind them swells the grim tide of the Garlean Empire. Even now the curs fly their flags within our borders. Doubt not, but that they will be upon us ere long. We are well nigh surrounded. Yet there are those among us who would rather turn their swords against their crewmates than our cannons against our foes. How can we hope to repel our many enemies when mutiny breeds below deck? There is but one course left to us. One bearing that will bring us victory over the beast hordes and the Empire both, and see this ship safe to port. We must mend the rift the Calamity has reopened twixt pirate and maelstrom, and stand fast with our adventurer brothers against the coming tempest. Mark ye well, a crew without unity is no crew at all. 'Tis but a mass of drowned men. To me, then, brothers and sisters of the sea, gather beneath the undying crimson standard, and pledge me your strength, your skill, your wisdom. And with the guidance of the navigator, this great vessel of ours shall ride the waves till sea swallows all.
Long live the Admiral!
Admiral Melvin!
Gather the lads!
Oh, where's me cutlass?
I'll follow ye to the seven hells, Admiral!
Fancy meeting you again.
As the Admiral mentioned in her address, Limsalominsa is plagued by two beast tribes. The first are the fish-like Sahagin, worshippers of the primal Leviathan. The second are the kobolds, who dwell beneath the earth, and take the primal titan for their god. As if the beast tribe's presence weren't troublesome enough, the Garleans have also chosen to erect a fortress right in the Lomizan's backyard. And that is to say not of internal strife. As a nation of pirates, there is no end to the blood feuds between the various factions. And while they fight amongst themselves, the Garleans with their blades and watch. If the Lomizans are to have any hope of withstanding the Empire, they must first resolve their own affairs. Differences must be set aside, and the primal threat dealt with once and for all. To this end, I expect that they will soon take decisive action against the beast tribes. Mark my words, the Maelstrom standard will be drenched a deeper shade of crimson ere long. That a capable adventurer like you would be a valuable addition to their crew is beyond question. But will you sail with the Admiral?
Natiri, this is Minfilia. You are well, I hope? Would I be correct in thinking that the final remembrance service has now concluded? A moment ago, you say? What a coincidence. Jesting aside, I trust you remember our guests from the Grand Companies? Well, delighted though we are to have them here at the Waking Sands, it would not do to keep them in suspense any longer than necessary. In short, hurry back.